Hey everybody, welcome back to S.C.Y here review the World Cup. Yes, World Cup is over, unfortunately. But all good things can't last forever. World Cup is only a month, and next one is 4.5 years away. Because they decided to do this in Qatar between November and December. Fuck! But that's not why we're here. We're here to review the 2018 World Cup because, ladies and gentlemen, by my standards and my opinions alone, I think this was the best World Cup, bar none. It had everything. It had upsets, dramas, superstars showing up, new stars showing out. It narratively and competitively, just every aspect of the competition. I think this was the best World Cup. Now, could it be recency bias right now? Possibly, yes. Could it be the fact that I'm still on the hype train about how fun this World Cup was? Possibly, yes. But I think we're going to look back, within a year, 2 years, hey, hell, even maybe the next World Cup, we'll look back on it and possibly say that this was the best World Cup. Again, the upsets were unbelievable. And I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite moments in the World Cup, or 5 generally best moments in the World Cup, where I do want to talk about this World Cup because there's so much to dissect. Obviously, the 64 matches, 1 scoreless, that is unbelievable because generally in football, soccer, generally in football, going scoreless in the World Cup is kind of standard in a sense. So for the matches to go just full on scoring, it's incredible. So many goals on set pieces, so many penalties, fucking VAR, all this shit happening all at once. And here's the crazy part. Superstars didn't deliver. That was the other craziest fucking part. And so my expectation of what I have for this World Cup actually went above and beyond anything I would have imagined. I was expecting some competition, some by the book script, matches like, Argentina's probably going to go on a crazy tear because Messi or, Ronaldo's going to score all these fucking goals and dominate the competition. No, so it's fucking crazy how none of that shit actually fucking happened. And I do want, let's just get to it. Let's just get right to it. Top 5 moments in the World Cup. I haven't written down here because I need to write shit down because between smoking all that fucking weed, man, I can't, the memory shit goes away. Okay, so you gotta write things down, boys and girls. Writing notes is key. So let's get to it. Top 5 moments in the World Cup, not in any order, boys and girls. Number 1 has to be Germany being defeated by South Korea 2-0, and they are eliminated from the group stage. Boys and girls, I don't want to emphasize to you how big that fucking deal is because Germany hasn't been kicked out of the group stage since what, the 30s or 40s? Yeah, since, for World War II, awkward. But yeah, that's the last time they were kicked out of the group stage. And the fucking country that did it was Korea. So the weird conundrum, again, I told you that I had about this moment, was the fact that, yes, I am South Korean. I love my country. Good God, it's in my blood. What else is there? What else is there to say about the fact that it's your home country? But with Germany, I love their football. I love their football philosophy. I love their football history. The fact that they had one of the greatest players, one of the greatest players in all-time history in Franz Beckenbauer, and the fact that he became a player, the second player and coach to win the World Cup. It just speaks volumes about how legendary Germany is as a footballing nation. And not to mention that, one of our great Korean national heroes, Cha-Boom, he developed in the Bundesliga. So I have so much love, so much respect, so much affinity toward German football that this was upsetting. This was so fucking upsetting that I was just like, it's my home country, but it's Germany. Fuck. So that was upsetting to watch. To be honest, that was really upsetting to watch. But after that kind of glommed over, it was a really historic moment, and I thought this is really one of the big significant moments in the World Cup that we are going to be talking about for years to come. And obviously for Germany, it's going to be their talking point and their agenda from top of the board to just fix that shit out. So hopefully they can come back in the next competition stronger than ever. And so stronger than ever in this competition comes to my next moment in top 5, and number 2 being England actually won on penalties. Now, boys and girls, I just talked about how much I love Germany, and it kind of works in tandem to the fact that I don't particularly like England football. I think English football is absolutely rubbish in terms of how players just are shit at times in terms of technical abilities. They're just tall, big blokes that they can kind of pass. And I mean, the modern day game they can kind of pass, but that's really about it. And, you know, the nation hasn't been impressive since 1966, where, you know, Sir Bobby Charlton and, West Ham United basically won the World Cup. But this England squad, I'd say they're special in the sense that they kind of defied expectations of what they were going to do, but at the same time, they still kind of adhere to the English philosophy of football. Just kind of boring in the midfield, using your star striker as a midfield player and a non-versatile piece at that. Your goalkeeper kind of doing above and beyond what he could, but that defense not really helping him out. And just a manager who's a yes man who's been appointed by the fucking Football Association. But despite all of those stereotypes, despite all of that, England managed to win on penalties. And yes, boys and girls, England has a terrible history with penalties. I believe they were 3-3 on getting knocked out in penalties or some shit like that before the Colombia match on penalties, and they won on penalties. That was so fucking weird. I didn't know what I was watching. I'm so used to England shitting the bed, especially in critical moments. So for them to get to the semifinals and lose to Croatia, in what I thought obviously was an ultimate choke job, the ultimate cherry on top choke job for England, they managed to impress a lot of people. So for me, the fact that they won in penalties has to be in the top moment there. Absolutely incredible from England. So that makes it into my top 5 moment. And number 3. Now this is the big one, and I kind of had to group this all together. And, because Germany was the exception, because they were in the group stage, where I say Brazil, Spain, Argentina, and Portugal, all 4 countries, not making it out of the quarterfinals is another big moment. The reason why is these four nations are generally powerhouses. Along with Germany, these 4 and 5, 4 nations along with Germany, are powerhouses in terms of football. So for them to get knocked out before at the quarterfinals minimum, because Spain, Argentina, Portugal, they all got knocked out in the round of 16. Brazil got knocked out by Belgium in the quarterfinals. So none of those teams to make it to the semifinals, it's wild. It has never been seen in a long time. And add to the fact that the semifinals had no South American teams, which hasn't been done in I don't know how fucking long, to be honest. I haven't looked those facts up, but I imagine for quite a long time, probably 1966 perhaps, 70, I don't know, but it's been so long. And this World Cup in that regard has been historic, landmark moments, historic moments. And this brings me to my 4th top moment in the World Cup is VAR. Because to me, VAR is going to be a historic piece of technology for the game. And now, I know a lot of people online are saying VAR is shit. It's going to be terrible for the game. I have to kindly disagree with everybody who says that. Because I think, ultimately, VAR, it's going to allow for better defensive plays. Especially in the penalty area. Because now you can't just flail your fucking arms around and get a accidental handball and let that shit go. Now, when you're a defender, now you gotta go on smart plays. You have to go smart defense. And to me, this is where VAR will cause a lot of controversy, right? Because now everyone has to kind of be walking on eggshell kind of deal. But at the same time, I feel it's gonna allow for smarter plays. It's gonna obviously allow for just plays, where moments where the player totally deserves a fucking penalty is not going to go unnoticed. They are going to be checking. They're going to have a boot system set up so that VAR is going to be a consistent thing. And so I hope for the near future that they do adapt this to most European competitions. And I might be in the minority for that, but to be honest, I think VAR is going to be a necessity down the line. down the line, I think it's going to be a necessity for the betterment of the game. And watch, you're gonna watch defenders flourish. You're gonna watch defenders flourish in terms of their skills, in terms of their technical abilities, in terms of their overall game, and how they break down their roles. So that's just my speculation. I could be totally wrong, but I definitely think VAR is the tech of the future for them to invest in. So good on FIFA to do something proper for once. Good fucking job. And the last moment in the top 5, and I think this honestly goes without saying, France versus Croatia final. I think the final really capped off how great this World Cup was. Yeah. I obviously reviewed the match yesterday on the YouTube channel here. You know, France won 4-2. Kylian Mbappe, Paul Pogba, you know, and good God, who was the last one on the fucking list? Antoine Griezmann. So, not in that order. Not in that fucking order, but it just had everything. Perisic, Mandzukic also on the other end as an own goal. And goal scoring, defensive lapses, fantastic goals. It was all there. It was all there. And it wasn't the fact that the opponent that lost, they played poorly. They played their fucking hearts out. They played the better game at times. At times. And that World Cup final really competitively had almost everything in 90 minutes. It didn't have to go into extra time. For me, when you say you go into extra time, you didn't do your job at the first try. You know, that's just my opinion. You know, obviously people are going to have differing opinions on them. You know, kudos to them, all that. But if you don't get the result in regulation, to me that means you didn't do your job. And for this match to have 6 goals in 90 minutes and to be completely wide open at moments of the game, it was just perfect. I thought this match really epitomized how football should be in terms of entertainment. And this is what draws people into football in the first place. You know, casual fans especially. Casual fans don't give a shit about the technical stuff like me. You know, it's nerds and fucking analytics people, and just general football fans like me who fucking who love this shit. But, man, I mean, it just had everything. And so those are my top 5 moments. And last thing I do want to talk about is the awards that they had to give out to the individual players for individual awards. So the Golden Boot goes to Harry Kane. Obviously, I'm not debating this one. Despite the fact that he's a Tottenham player, I don't really hold... These are pure numbers. Think about that. Facts and numbers. He scored 6 goals. That was the most goal ahead of the 4-goal mark, tied between like 4 or 5 players. And kudos to Harry Kane. Fantastic showing. And then the young player, no doubt, Kylian Mbappe. No fucking doubt in my mind. He was the best player, one of the best players in the tournament, and he was the best young player. Moving on. Golden Glove, I had to scratch my head at this one because they gave it to Thibaut Courtois. And when you look at the numbers, Thibaut Courtois, I believe Olsen for Sweden, Hugo Lloris for France, and I know there's one more goalkeeper, but there's 3 or 4 goalkeepers that had 3 clean sheets. Out of those 3, I would still pick Hugo Lloris over Thibaut Courtois. Who Courtois, I feel, had phenomenal matches. I really do believe he did. But Hugo Lloris captained this French team from the back line. And I think that deserves a hell of a lot more credit. And the fact that his numbers also add up in terms of clean sheets, I think Hugo Lloris got dogged on this fucking award. And Thibaut Courtois wins it. I think Hugo Lloris should have won it. Golden Ball, Luka Modric deservedly wins this award. I don't fucking blame FIFA for awarding him. But I would absolutely make the case for Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba has had, 3 to 2 goals in this tournament, easily. And these were game-winning goals. And also the fact that he dominated the midfield possession and the way he controlled the midfield game was unreal. I've never seen this kind of Paul Pogba before. And, you know, fair play to Modric because he was also just playing out of his fucking element. But Paul Pogba also deserves a shout in terms of that. So that's it. World Cup is done. Until Qatar, we will come back again. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, subscribe, all that shit. And until next time.